restrain yourself. We'll try as much as possible to minimize unnecessary contribution and cover the business for people of Makueni. It should be noted that this is not a business of any individual. It doesn't matter whether they are here or not there, but we do this for people of Makueni. So please restrain yourself so that we consider this business to the extent that we can. Clerk, read the orders. Do you have an answer, Tokora? But are the other microphones working? Where are the orders? We have papers to be led by the leader of the majority party in the absence of leader majority. The leader of the minority or a member of the Assembly Business Committee will do so. Therefore, Honorable Josephine, Honorable Gitunga, you are one of you to approach the bench. finding the minister to have violated Public Procurement and Disposals Act, and make recommendations for recovery of that money. The contractor make recommendations on actions to be taken against the executive committee member and the PMCs and the engineers who are supervising. You know, unless then you participate at this point, they can't proceed.
Honorable Speaker, I'm willing to meet the committee and after the matter restarted with the Speaker.
You don't need to restart.
What am I supposed to do?
The information that you have, whatever you're talking about, who did, what you know is what the chairperson would want to hear from you. The chairperson will have an opportunity to listen to the minister. The chairperson may wish to visit the site with you or even with others 10 times. The chairperson then will retreat and the committee and make recommendations that again they will have to invite you and give them information. So you have to cooperate.
Mr. Speaker, I'm ready to cooperate.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I hear you. I hear you. I know why you are behaving as such is because you are so saddened that even after you had raised a matter as a member of the County Assembly, your efforts were ignored and an executive arm of the government has gone ahead to make a payment on top of issues that you've raised. And I can get your body language. You feel like the committee is not active enough to help you in this matter. And therefore, as Waswahili say, is tupa jogoo na mti wake. Is that the saying? So, but we are not there. Can you accord the committee an opportunity? They will listen to you. You have a discussion. And then you pick from there. On what, because the question will be, on what circumstances was the payment processed when the matter was under inquiry? So the CEO must explain. And we will get to a point where we will not be dealing with the CEO now. We will be dealing with the CEO that time. It will come a time when we'll be dealing with the executive committee member for roads. For that time, not for this time, because he's the one who occasioned and caused that payment. If works were not properly done then, all we need to require is not even the contractor to come to site. At times you say, you have made a recommendation that the executive committee member to cause the road to be done in the right standard within the next 6 days, failure to which then he should take personal responsibility. So you choose your job or going back to the law and biting the bullet, causing the contractor to come back and do the job. You know, we are not going to continue pointing at contractors. The contractors are agents of county executive committee member and the chief officers. The same way you have a ward manager. We can't blame your ward manager for mismanaging an activity in your ward or a public participation. We'll blame you because he's your agent. You have appointed him. So the executive committee members and the CEOs have, by law, identified an agent who is working on behalf of the chief officer. And that is why they are paid when they satisfy the requirements of the contract law, public procurement law, public finance management law, and the expectation of the people. So no CEO or executive committee member will run away from anomalies and mismanagement executed by a contractor who is instructed by the department. The ECMs will take personal responsibility. And this is not about CEO, honorable members. Under the County Government Act, the chief officers are under direct supervision on day-to-day management of the affairs of the department, supervision of the executive committee members. So the chief officer and the executive committee member will take personal responsibility on affairs and management of the department. So chairperson, you need to take note of that. And it doesn't matter whether you are serving that office, including in the last regime. We can go for someone at home. There are former governors now who are appearing in Senate committee to answer questions on anomalies on their commissions and omissions when they were serving in office. And they will take personal responsibility for mistakes that they committed when they're in office. So it doesn't matter whether one has been moved or not. So chairperson, you better take this matter seriously. This is a second one. This is a first one. There's a second one on Thange. Thange, you dealt with it. The recommendations were good. Only that in Thange, you dealt so much on contractor, sub-county engineer, ward engineer, mechanical engineer, ward administrator, PMC. To me, that is not useful. We never vetted them. We only vetted a CEO by a committee, but an executive committee member who has the responsibility, and therefore they should take the first responsibility before even you address a contractor, because it's their agent. I hope that is clear. So chairperson, execute that matter within 14 days, engage the member if you have to visit the site, and deal with the matter with the force that it requires. Chairperson, Committee on Environment and Climate Change to respond to a statement as was requested by Member Fonzawi Kalamba Ward recording solid waste management in the county as requested by Member Fonzawi. Is the response ready? It's ready? So besides, suppose I state that this is a matter of county interest, are you ready? Know that it is as it should be, not as it is. Is the response as it should be, or it is lacking some things, so that we make progress? So you wish to defer? That's your proposal. Fair enough. Next order. I'll give you 7 days. 7 days, engage the member and respond. 7 days will be on Monday next week. Why? Or Tuesday? Wednesday? So Wednesday at 2:30. Okay. Next order.
ICT education internship on consideration of the nomination of county budget committee members for the period 2024 to 2027.
Chairperson of Community Education and ICT. Approach the dispatch table. Honorable Speaker, sir, I beg to move the following motion that this assembly adopt the report of the Committee on ICT and Education and Internship on consideration with the nomination of County Bursary Committee members for the period 2024-2027 laid on the table of the Assembly on 17 February 2025. Mr. Speaker, I beg to go straight away to the executive summary. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Makueni County Bursary Fund Regulation 2018 Regulation 9 Part 1 provides for the establishment of a County Assembly Bursary Committee. Additionally, the regulation stipulates that the committee shall serve for a term of 3 years and may be eligible for reappointment for a further term of 3 years. Part 2 of Regulation 9 specifies the composition of the 9 members of the County Bursary Committee as follows. Number 1, the chairperson with the County Bursary Committee, who shall be the chief officer designated by the County as executive committee member for finance and serve as the fund administrator. Number 2, the director responsible for matters related to learner support in the county government, who shall act as the secretary. Number 3, the director in charge of county and administration, all legal services for the time being. Number 4, 2 persons not to be public officers who have experience in education matters and reside in the county. Number 5, a representative of the faith-based organizations involved in education matters with the county. Number 6, 3 individuals residing in the county representing marginalized groups, namely the youth, women, and persons with disabilities. The Speaker, sir,
Further, Regulation 93 states that the two persons not to be public officers who are experienced in education matters and who reside in the county, a representative of the faith-based organizations involved in education matters in the county, and the three persons residing in the county representing marginalized groups such as youth, women, and persons with disability shall be nominated by the county executive committee member and approved by the county assembly. Mr. Speaker, sir, following the expiry of the 3-year term limit of the county bursary committee, the ECF presented a list of new members for the county bursary committee. According to the Public Finance Management Makueni County Bursary Fund Regulation 2018, Part 4.9, in nominating the aforementioned persons, the executive committee member shall take into consideration regional and gender balance for the county bursary committee. The nominated person shall serve for a fixed period of for a fixed term of 3 years. Mr. Speaker, on 15th October 2024, the County Executive Committee member, ICM for ICT, Education and Internship, presented a list of 6 nominees for the County Bursary Committee to the Assembly for approval. The ECM nominated the following members in accordance with the provisions of the Public Finance Management Makueni County Bursary Fund Regulation 2018, Part 4, 9, 2, 3, 4, and 5, Annex 1 shown down there. Further, on 11th December 2024, the ECM submitted the academic certificates for the nominees for the County Bursary Committee for consideration by the committee, annexed as shown in Annex 2. Mr. Speaker, on Wednesday, 12th February 2025, the list of the nominees with their academic certificates were tabled in the Assembly and committed to the Select Committee on ICT, Education and Internship for consideration. Mr. Speaker, the committee was required to consider the matter and report back to the Assembly. Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee, upon receipt of the County Bursary Committee's nomination list presented by ECM for ICT, Education and Internship for approval by the County Assembly, reviewed and interrogated the submitted documents as enlisted. Number 1, the first person, Daniel Mutinda Nzweli, appointed as provided for in Regulation 92D of the Makueni County Assembly Fund Regulations 2018 as a member under the category of 2 persons experienced in educational matters. Daniel Mutinda Nzwili holds a master's degree in educational administration from the University of Nairobi, awarded in 2013, and a bachelor's degree in education from Kenyatta University, awarded in 1994. The nominee resides in Utangwa sublocation, Boni sub-county in Makueni County. Number 2, Ndamari Zingao, also appointed as provided for in the Regulation 92D of the Makueni County Bursary Fund Regulations 2018 as a member under the category of a person experienced in educational matters. Ndamari Zingao holds a bachelor's degree in education from Kenyatta University, awarded in 2001, and is currently pursuing a master's degree in linguistics at the Kenyatta University. The nominee resides in Muka Ward, Makueni County. Number 3, Bishop Jackson Muema Muthoka, nominated as provided for in Regulation 92E of the Makueni County Bursary Fund Regulations 2018 under the category of the representative of faith-based organizations involved in educational matters in the county. Bishop Jackson Muema Muthoka has been seconded by the Deliverance Church, Makueni Region Council, through an appointment letter dated 10th December 2024. Number 4, Leonard Musyoka, appointed as provided for in Regulation 92F of the County Bursary Fund Regulation 2018. Leonard Musyoka is one of the 3 persons residing in the county representing marginalized groups. He has been selected to represent the youth and was nominated by the Dream Achievers Youth Group in Ukiah Ward, Makueni County, through an appointment letter dated 9th December 2024. Number 5, Jacinda Wanza, appointed as provided for in the Regulation 2F of the County Assembly Bursary Fund, the Regulations 2018. Jacinta Wanza is one of the 3 persons residing in the county representing marginalizing groups. She has been selected to represent women as nominated through a letter dated 10th December 2024. Assumed Dandave Raphael. Assumed Dandave Raphael has been appointed as provided for in the Regulation 9-2F of the Makueni County Bursary Fund Regulations 2018 to represent persons with disabilities by the National Council for Persons with Disabilities through a letter dated 9th December 2024. Findings, Mr. Speaker. Findings and observations. The committee made the following observations and findings. Number 1, the executive committee member, ICM, YCT, Education and Leadership, presented a list of nominees for the County Bursary Committee to the County Assembly for approval in accordance with the provisions of the Public Finance Management, Makueni County Bursary Fund Regulations 2018, Part 4, Regulation 93. The ECM's role is to nominate persons referred to in paragraphs 2D, E, and F of the bursary regulations and forward their names to the County Assembly for approval. Number 2, the ECM complied with the provisions of the Public Finance Management, Makueni County Bursary Fund Regulations 2018, Part 4, 9, 2, 3, 4, and 5 by nominating 2 persons who are not public officers with the experience in education matters and residing in the county, a representative of faith-based organizations involved in education matters in the county, and the 3 persons residing in the county representing marginalizing groups, e.g. youth, women, and persons with disabilities. The nominations also took into consideration both regional and gender balances within the committee. The committee members shall serve for 3 years and shall not be eligible for nomination for a further term of 3 years if they have already served in the first term. The Speaker, number 3, the committee ascertained that the list of 6 nominees for the County Bursary Committee is constituted in accordance with the Public Finance Management Makueni County Bursary Fund, the Regulations 2018, Part 4, 9, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and is responsible for supervising the application of the bursary fund by the ward bursary committees and assessing whether the fund is being administered in accordance with its objectives and purposes, and receiving and considering appeals from the ward bursary committees, among other duties. Recommendations. Upon reviewing the nominees for County Bursary Committee, the committee recommends that, number 1, the Assembly adopts the report of the committee on the consideration of the County Bursary Committee nominees and approve all the nominees for their respective positions in the County Bursary Committees pursuant to the provisions of the Public Finance Management, Makueni Bursary Fund, Regulations 2018, Part 4, Regulation 9, as listed below. Number 1, we have Daniel Mutinda, category experience in education matters, who is a member. Daniel Damaris Gao, experience in education matters, also a member of that committee. We have number 3, Bishop Jackson Mwema Mudoka, faith-based organization, a member of that very committee. Leonard Musyoka, representing the youth, who is a member of that group, of that committee. Jacinta Wanza, representing women, a member of that committee. And finally, Assumed Dandave Raphael, representing WDs, who is a member. Mr. Speaker, sir, on behalf of the committee, I wish to thank the committee of the Office of the Speaker and the Office of the Clerk for the support offered to the committee. I also thank members of the committee for their input and the commitment towards the production of this report. On behalf of the committee, I hereby present this report to the County Assembly for adoption. Before I call upon a seconder, Mr. Speaker, we have testimonials for each of these applicants attached herein. And with that, I call upon Madam Honorable Ngila to second the motion. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Bungala. You are done. Honorable members, I propose a question that I similar of the report of the Committee on Education and ICT internship on the consideration of the nomination of the County Bursary Committee members for the period 2024 to 2027, laid on the table of the Assembly on 17th of February 2025. The floor is open. Mover of the motion.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I sincerely thank members for supporting the motion, and I'm sure this group will perform. Give any time to perform wonders. Also, thank you, members, for supporting the motion, and thank you once more. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I'll put the question that this Assembly adopt the report of the Committee on ICT, Education and Internship on the consideration of the nomination of the County Bursary Committee members for the period 2024-2027, laid on the table of the Assembly on 17th of February 2025. Last many as without opinion say aye. Last many as of a contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. Honorable members, the report of the Committee on ICT, Education and Internship Committee, as approved by the County Assembly today on 24th of February 2025 at 15:41 hours, it stands directed to the Executive Committee member responsible for education for implementation, and then further to that to the County Attorney, the Governor, the Deputy Governor, and County Executive Committee member for Finance. Next order. Chairperson, Legal Affairs Committee. Chairperson. Honorable members, what is it that you want to do? Proceed with the motion or proceed?
Mr. Speaker, sir, pursuant to Standing Order 71, I beg to move the following motion. This notice was given on 17th February 2025.
What is it, member for Raleigh Malu?
Honorable Speaker, we just had the member with the intention of tabling a report. Actually, we don't have the report. We did hear her table the report. She only requested Honorable Bindo to second another report. So do we have something procedural, or have the procedures of the Assembly changed? Thank you.
Now, honorable members, Honorable Estangila, she has just do it in a more improved way. So she has proceeded first to quote Standing Order number 71 and has begged to move a motion whose notice was given on 25th of February. And Standing Order number 71 reads what? Standing Order number 71 provides that after a question has been proposed on a motion shall be deemed to be in possession of the County Assembly, and such motion shall not be withdrawn without the leave of the County Assembly, or without permission of the County Assembly, or without the vote of the County Assembly. So she's saying that pursuant to this standing order, then a House do concur that she invokes provisions of the standing order number 71. Go ahead.
Mr. Speaker, you know the member in question has not been coming in this house. The motion was tabled.
Withdrawing. So you can elaborate why she's withdrawing.
Honorable Ongla.
Yes, there was complaint from the members that the motion, we never did the public participation. So we needed some time to do the public participation.
Was Honorable Tivo, did he attend the previous plenary?
No.
So you understand him? You see, the mover of the motion, who has now mandate of the committee, is still on the floor. He needs no permission to come to you. As a mover, he is now filled and he has read the mood of the house. And you see why you find that most members may not have an issue with this matter is because that members questioned on the validity of this motion because the stakeholders who are members of the County Assembly and staff, the committee did not give them an opportunity to give their views, which is a constitutional requirement. And even before the motion or the report or the regulations were submitted to the committee on delegated legislation to come up with these regulations, then members ought to have participated also to give their input on the structure of how then the regulations will govern the cafeteria, including if then the regulations as are refers to management of the cafeteria internally by the County Assembly, establishing internal structures. And members were of the opinion, some, that the cafeteria should be leased out. Perhaps if members were given an opportunity to give their views, we would be voting for a motion on regulations that are giving 3 or 4 options on how that cafeteria can be run. And perhaps the report to read, if you want to run it internally as a County Assembly, these are the requirements. If you then want to lease it, this is the procedure. So what the member is doing is seeking the leave of the permission of the County Assembly so that she withdraws the motion on your behalf, reflecting the wishes of the members who she listened to keenly last time, to give the committee more time and pave way for more engagement and seek more views. So that is the background. And then the second of the motion had done so. Are you persuaded, Honorable Tivo?
Not so, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker,
What is it?
we need to take matters serious, Mr. Speaker. We had a time as a committee. We discussed the matter with the county attorney and the members, and also the secretariat. And Mr. Speaker, in that committee, I'm one of the active members, and the vice chair, she's aware. But I can't remember any time we discussed of withdrawing the matter due to the demand of the honorable members, although I'm okay with that because we need also to hear from the other members and the members of the staff. But she could have explained to the members before she decided to withdraw the motion. But it's okay, Mr. Speaker.
The motion that was debated on Wednesday last week, Honorable Tibu, by the chair is still on the floor. If we had begun this motion now, and then along the way, she realizes that the motion is not getting the necessary support, she would quickly apply her authority and wisdom as chair and then move a motion. She will not ask for time for the committee to retreat and consider. Now, if a member of committee feels that they don't agree with this motion, they can oppose it so that then we go back to where we were and vote on it as it was. So your rights are still guaranteed.
Fair enough.
Honorable members, I propose, I have received a motion from Committee on Devolution Chairperson, not devolution delegated. We are seeking the leave of the House to invoke provisions of standing order. The motion reads that pursuant to provision standing order number 71, the Assembly resolves to withdraw the motion for the adoption of the report of the Committee on Delegated County Legislation on Public Finance Management, which is the Makwene County Assembly Catering Health Officers Scheme Regulations of 2024 laid on the table of the Assembly on 17th of February, year 2025. Notice of motion was given on 17th of February, year 2025. The floor is open for debate. Mover of the motion. Mover of the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to ask the members for their support the next time I bring the motion. Thank you.
Honorable members, I now put the question that pursuant to the provision standing order number 71, the Assembly resolves to withdraw the motion for the adoption of the committee, the report of the Committee on Delegated County Legislation, the Public Finance Management Act, which of the Makwene County Assembly Catering and Health Officers Schemes Fund Regulation of 2024 laid on the table of September 17th of February 2025, whose notice was given on 17th of February 2025. Will as many as of our opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Honorable members, Chairperson, you are directed to contract stakeholders engagement, public participation, and seek views of all members of the county assembly on this matter as soon as possible and relay this paper within the next 30 days without fail. Next order. Go ahead.
Order number 10, motion. The report of the County Public Accounts Committee on consideration of the report of the Auditor General on the Makwene County Revenue Statements, receiver of revenue for the year ended 30th June 2023.
Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, sir, I beg to move the following motion that the Assembly adopt the report of the County Public Accounts Committee on consideration of the report of the Auditor General on the Makwene County Revenue Fund for the year ended 30th June 2023, laid on the table of the Assembly on 11th November 2024. Honorable Speaker, I will not measure very much about the committee mandate, the committee membership. I would wish to take members right to the executive summary. I think every member has this report in his or her gadget. Therefore, the summary, just Honorable Speaker, sir, the County Revenue Fund is established under the Article 207 of the Constitution and the Accounting Officer of the mandate under Section 164 of the Public Finance Management Act 2012, revised 2020, to end each financial year, prepare a financial statement in format to be prescribed by the Accounting Standards Board, and within 3 months after the end of each financial year, submit the financial statement of the auditor to the Auditor General. Pursuant to the provision of Article 2294A and 8 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010, the report of the Auditor General on Makueni County Revenue Fund for the year ended 30th June 2023 was tabled in the Assembly on 6 March 2023 and committed the Public Accounts Committee for consideration. The Speaker, sir, in consideration of the report of the Committee was guided by the Article 125 and 195 of the Constitution of 2010, Section 18.1 of the County Assembly's Powers and Privilege Act 2017, which requires any person to appear before its committee and give evidence or provide any paper, book, record, or document in their possession, all under their control. The Public Audit Act 2015 and the Standing Order 199 and 206 of the Makueni County Assembly Standing Orders procedure of selection. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Auditor General, having audited the financial statement of Makueni County Revenue Fund for the year ended 30th June 2023, gave an unmodified opinion. Unmodified opinion is also known as the unqualified opinion. Of course, it's the best opinion, honorable members. The committee interrogated and sought evidence from the management to address the matters of budgetary allocation and performance. It further engaged the accounting officer and a representative of the Auditor General on 26 September 2024 for further clarification on audit issues raised. Honorable Speaker, the statement of a comparison of the budget and the actual amounts reflect total received budget and actual of comparable basis of 10,604,741,805 shillings and 9,512,545,864 shillings respectively, resulting to under allocation of 1.252,196,021, which is 12% of the budget Similarly, a total of 9,213,486,674 shillings was transferred to both the county executive and the county assemblies against the budget transfers to 10,764,741,885 shillings, resulting to under disbursement of 1.551,255,121, all 14% of the budget. The under collection and under disbursement affected planned activities and programs and may have negatively impacted the services delivered to the residents of Makueni County. So there was that disparities, the underfunding and under disbursement from whichever quarters the assemblies and the executives. Mr. Speaker, sir, upon interrogation of the accounting officer, the committee noted that there was under collection and under the disbursement, which arose due to expenditures at the source of the county health facilities and unrealistic conditional allocations, grants and loans, which the county did not leave out control. The Speaker, I think it's very clear the underfunding partly was due to the allocation of grants and loans, which the county had no control. And from the Department of Health, as it has been elaborated. Honorable Speaker, the committee recommended that the accounting officer should continuously engage in development partners to ensure all remittance as budget for the received in the time. The Speaker, as a committee, we didn't have a lot of work on this because, as I have mentioned, it is one of the best committee report, a report that has no issues, as it has been indicated through whole audit offices. And therefore, I will wish to take this opportunity to acknowledge you, the Speaker, on behalf of the committee. I thank the Office of the Speaker, the Clerk, and the County Assembly for facilitating the committee during the consideration of this report. I also thank the honorable members of the committee for participating in the entire period with zeal and their commitment to discharge their mandate. The Speaker, on behalf of the Public Accounts Committee, I hereby present this report to the Assembly for adoption. Honorable Speaker, the PAC members are one of the most serious committee members
who even sit without considering the table, the schedule. They even sit in the evening, and they volunteer themselves to serve the people, and I have to congratulate them. And because the report has no issues, it's a nice report. I want to take this opportunity to thank the Department of Finance on this particular report. At least they were obedient to the law. Honorable Speaker, I then request Honorable Elizabeth to second the motion, the report. Thank you.
Honorable members, I propose a question that Assembly adopt the report of Public Accounts Committee on consideration of the report of the Auditor General, Makwere County Revenue Statements, Receiver of Revenue for the year ended 30th of June, year 2023, laid on the table of the Assembly on 11th of November, year 2024. Floor is open for debate. Mover of the motion.
To pass this motion, and I am sure we are going to pass it. So I already thank you. Thank you.
Member for Mulala and Mali. You are reading the motion, the county receiver, county revenue fund, or county revenue statements. Which of the two? Fair. Now, the motion you have read is under order number 11. And the order that was read was order number 10. In place of that, honorable members, I directed the clerk to read order number 11 to cover the motion as moved by member for Emali Mulala Ward, acting for the chairperson of public accounts and indeed the chairperson of the day. Go ahead.
Order number 11, motion. The report of the County Public Accounts Committee on the consideration of the report of the Auditor General on the Makwene County Revenue Fund for the year ended 30th June 2023.
Mover of the motion to reply.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I beg to move the following motion that the House
You replied to the motion.
that motion on
Correct.
on
Correct?
yes. So Honorable Speaker, I wish honorable members to approve this report and to because it's a nice report and it's one of the best reports we have ever had in this third government. Thank you.
Subject of the report of the Committee on Public Accounts on the consideration of the report of the Auditor General of Makwene County Revenue Fund for the year ended 30th of June 2023, laid on the table of the Assembly on 11th of November 2024. Will as many as without opinion say aye. Aye. Will as many as have a contrary opinion say nay. ayes have it, honorable members. I direct that the report of the Public Accounts Committee on the consideration of the report of the Retired General Makueni County Revenue Fund as approved by the County Assembly of Makueni today on 24th of February 2025 be conveyed to 1. County Executive Committee Member, 2. To the County Secretary, to our County Executive Committee Member, the Governor, the Deputy Governor, the Clerk of the Senate, and the Office of the Auditor General. Next order. Revert to previous order.
Order number 10, motion. The report of the County Public Accounts Committee on the consideration of the report of the Auditor General on the Makueni County Revenue Statements, receiver of revenue for the year ended 30th June 2023.
Proceed, Chairperson. Take the microphone.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move the following motion, that the Assembly adopt the report of the Public Accounts Committee on consideration of the report of the Auditor General on the Makueni County Revenue Statement, receiver of revenue for the year ended 30th June 2023, laid on table of the Assembly on 11th November 2024. Honorable Speaker, there was a bit of confusion, but now this is the statement. And as just said previously, I would not wish to tire the members on the issue of the mandate of the committee, the oversight, the membership, and the establishment. I wish to take members directly to the summary, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the Auditor General audited the financial statement of Makueni County Revenue Fund for the year ended 30th June 2023 and gave a qualified opinion. This is a qualified opinion, of course, the second best opinion after the unqualified opinion. The committee interrogated and sought evidence of the management based on the following findings. 1, the basic of the qualified opinion, that's the incurrencies in the revenue statement, the emphasis on the matter, the budgetary control and performance, the report of the lawfulness and effectiveness in the public resources, that is irregular expenditures at the source, and 2, failure to remit revenue generated by the Sant Authority. Mr. Speaker, the committee considered the report and engaged the following officers on 20th September 2024 for further clarification of the audit issues raised. Mr. Speaker, 1, the representative of the Auditor General to interrogate the report with the committee. 2, the accounting officers to appear before the committee to provide evidence regarding to the report. Mr. Speaker, after that, these were the findings from the report, Mr. Speaker. The finding number 1, the committee, the management failed to reconcile the variance and provide a supporting document to the auditor at the time of audit verification in contravention of the section 62(1)(c) of the Public Audit Act 2015, which provides that a person shall not, without justification, fail to provide information within reasonable time that is required and act. The second finding was that in line with the Regulation 46 of the Public Finance Management, County Government Regulation 2015, the management had put in place strategies to raise on-source revenue that in the previous financial year. This notwithstanding, there was enhanced a collection of the on-source revenue amounting to 193,404,013 shillings. The head of the county treasury meant unrealistic on-source revenue projections without considering the previous data of revenue collection. Mr. Speaker, the third finding, the Makueni Sant Conservation and Utilization Authority collected cess revenue amounting to 47,211,929, out of which 27,221,304 was spent at source, contrary to the Regulation 81(2) of the Public Finance Management and County Government Regulation 2015, which provides that the receiver of revenue shall promptly pay the revenue received in the County Revenue Fund as soon as possible, and in any case, not later than 5 working days after receipt of thereof. Mr. Speaker, the fourth finding was that the county health facilities utilized independent systems and which were not linked to the county revenue fund, that requiring manual transfer to the CRF. Further, the facilities collected revenue and spent at source as appropriation aid in aid. The management has acquired the county integrated health management system that will be integrated with the revenue system for purpose of revenue reporting, which will address this risk. This risk associated with the manual human intervention and thereof minimize instances of potential errors. Mr. Speaker, the 5 findings. Regulation 82(3) and 4 of the Public Finance Management and County Government Act Regulation 2015 states that except within authorities of the county treasurer, no accounting officer may open a bank account for these deposits, custody or withdraw all public monies or other monies for which he or she is responsible in his or her official capacity or the transaction of the official banking businesses. The Makwene Sound conservation and utilization failed to remit revenue to the county revenue fund and spent part of the sales revenues without authorization from the county assembly, contravening Regulation 82(3) and 4 of the Public Finance Management and the County Government Regulation 2015. The Speaker, those were the 5 key findings by the committee, and these are the recommendations against each finding, Honorable Speaker. The first recommendation was that the accounting officer should institute disciplinary measures to the officers who failed to avail information during the audit verification as provided for under Section 62(1) and C of the Public Audit Act 2015. That is one. The second recommendation was the accounting officer should consider putting in place a legislation effecting Section 160 of the Public Finance Management Act 2012 by establishing a revenue board or authority for effective collection of on-source revenue and progress reporting within 90 days after the adoption of this report. And going forward, always project realistic on-source revenue based on previous trends or data of revenue collection in previous financial years. Mr. Speaker, that was to address the second finding. The third, the accounting officer should comply with the Regulation 81(2) of the Public Finance Management Act and County Government, that is Regulation 2015, by ensuring that all revenue collected is banked into county revenue funds, that is the CRF. The Speaker, 4, the accounting officer should fast track the operationalization of the county integrated health management system, including linking it with the county revenue system within 90 days after the adoption of this report. Honorable Speaker, the fifth recommendation is the management should institute disciplinary measures to the officers who fail to remit revenue county revenue fund contrary to the Regulation 82, 3, and 4 of the Public Finance Management Act Regulation 20, County Government Regulation 2015. Mr. Speaker, those were the 4 recommendations to address the key 5 findings, which were the challenge that which led to get a qualified opinion, unlike our intention of having unqualified opinion. Therefore, if all those recommendations are implemented, then we will have address the issues of underfunding, which resulted due to revenue collection, leakages in health facilities where money is being used at source, and all those other challenges, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, I take this moment on behalf of the committee. I thank the Office of the Speaker and the Clerk of the County Assembly to facilitate the committee during consideration of this report. I also thank the honorable members of the committee to participate in the entire period with zeal and for the commitment discharged during the mandate effectively. Mr. Speaker, on behalf of the public Public Accounts Committee, I present this report to the Assembly for adoption. So with that report at such point, I'm sure members who are keen and can have the document in their gadgets, can go through, because it's a voluminous document. They can get each and every detail of the report, since it's a business of the county. And with that, I request Honorable Tifu to second the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the report on Public Accounts Committee. Then, Mr. Speaker, as the recommendations, Mr. Speaker, we found that the Sand Authority were spending money at source, which is very illegal, Mr. Speaker, and you have heard the measures that the committee has given. So, Mr. Speaker, there is no anyone who should spend money at source before banking the money so that it can be accounted for. And Mr. Speaker, you have heard that the recommendation of a revenue collection board that will monitor the revenue, and it will be updating and giving policies to the account so that we can achieve our target. There is no need, Mr. Speaker, to project a revenue to be 1.4 and we collect 1 million. Mr. Speaker, we are misleading the public when we project very high revenue and we are not collecting it, because, Mr. Speaker, that will mislead even the budget process making and also our project. If the budget is underfunded because we did not attain the projected revenue, Mr. Speaker, sometimes you find that we are doing supplemental budget so that we can line our budget with the projects. Sometimes we go, some projects are not funded, Mr. Speaker. So these recommendations are very good, Mr. Speaker, to our county and also to our residents in Makueni so that they can know specifically on the projections that we will attain and measures that will be used to attain the projected revenue. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I second.
Honorable members, I propose the question that the Assembly of the report of the Public Accounts Committee on the consideration of the report of the Retired General and Makueni County Revenue Statements, receiver of revenue for the year ended 30th of June 2003, laid on the table of the Assembly on 11th of November 2024. Floor is open for debate. Mover of the motion.
Thank you, honorable members, and most likely Honorable Bernard, for those points you've picked from the report. I wish to urge all members to support this at the adoption of the report so that at least we can help the county to address those key challenges whereby we are seeing some leakages in revenue collection that is bringing underfunding our budget, which is leads to, because we factor our projects based on the resources. If we underfund due to challenges of revenue and collection, then some projects go undone. Honorable Speaker, the issue raised from our facilities, from our health facilities. Actually, some of the underfunded department, which results due to these challenges, the Department of Health. And if that automation is effected and worked perfectly, then we will be good to go in the funding of our health facilities and the medication issues sometimes affecting our facilities. Therefore, I pledge with honorable members to support the adoption of this report. Thank you.
Honorable members, I put the question that the Assembly adopt the report of the Public Accounts Committee on the consideration of the report of the Retired General of the Makueni County Revenue Statement, receiver of revenue for the year ended 30th of June 2023, laid on the table of Assembly on 11th of November 2024. Will as many of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Chairperson, before I give directions, Who is the accounting officer you are referring to in this report? Because you are referring the accounting officer to institute disciplinary measures to the officers who failed to avail information during verification. Accounting officer should consider putting in place legislation. Accounting officer should comply. Accounting officer, who is this accounting officer? The chief officer? So the head of treasury is the accounting officer for purposes of, why is that provided? I need to be educated. Where is that provided for? I need to be advised. Are you sure? SPFM. PFM Act? Refer to section 62, eh? Six two one C. Or the public audit. Chair, you have good findings, but your recommendations are scattered all over. Very nice stew without salt. Because when you say the accounting officer to institute disciplinary measures to the officers who fail to avail information during the audit verification of the provider under section 621C, the Public Audit Act. It is the committee that has the responsibility of making recommendation under what the law says on what that should happen. Now, the auditor has told you that these people have not. You have still given it back to the county executive, who did not comply with opening of accounts, spending at the source. They never produced the document, and you are asking the same person to go and institute disciplinary actions, and you are not giving recommendations on a period within which you expect to see that report. How possible is that? So you sit for so long, you do interrogations, but instead of giving us what you're supposed to do as recommendations, you just advise us on what the minister should have done before the audit. In other words, you're advising the administration on how to do the administration. So the recommendations again becomes advisory. Accounting officer to consider putting in place legislation. The accounting officer should comply with the regulation 1, Public Finance Management Act 15, by ensuring all revenue collected are banked. That's okay. Accounting officer to fast track operationalization of county integrated health system, the management, and there is no period within which this is going to be done. Is it there? Where? There's nothing. Read your recommendations. Committee general recommendations. Unless you're telling me that there are specific recommendations elsewhere. Section, that is the audit.
Section 62, 1C of the PF Public Audit Act. It gives guidelines on the action, and we are basing the disciplinary measures on that section of the Public Audit Act, Honorable Speaker.
So who enforces disciplinary to ensure that the disciplinary action has taken place?
You know, this matter, Honorable Speaker, when some documents are requested by the Auditor General during the management response and all that, failing to provide information to the auditors, then
what disciplinary action is in section 52 of the Audit Act? It is provided.
Yes, I may read it, Honorable Speaker.
They don't have. The Repo Office doesn't have. 2015. They are searching from the phone. We are not expecting that there will be one.
I think it gives a fine.
How can we not Constitution, PFM Act, and all these documents? And that is what. Why are those documents? Why are you opening the drawers? You're supposed to have those lockers. You're supposed to have all those so that when a member stands on the dispatch and is requesting to refer to a certain law under section, why it is a table office, you should have taken him to section 52 of the Audit Act because you have the document. I mean, this is what you are trained for more than 15 years ago when you are employed. So Chairperson, I hear you. We have, I can only give directions, but what I want to tell you is that when a specific chief officers did not comply with the period to produce document, your responsibility was to make a recommendation in implementation of a section of a law within a period, or compel the executive committee member to produce evidence on the action they have taken against that officer in line with Audit Act.
Well noted.
So that you are holding the minister responsible, that the executive committee members should produce. The recommendation should be within the next 7 days or 21 days, the executive committee member accounting officers to provide a report on the disciplinary action they have taken. And if not, why the assembly or the committee cannot institute disciplinary against the minister himself. But the way it is a Scots free. It's a free bond.
Well noted, Honorable Speaker.
So
for action.
It's good report, but the tea snacks have gone for free. I direct that the report goes to the executive committee member for finance or executive committee members, the governor, the deputy governor, the auditor general, the clerk of the Senate. Honorable clerk, if these are the recommendations you are approving, then please don't use this house as a conveyor belt. But you print documents and you pile for us to discuss like, I do not know what it is. Just because you print English, we read it. We will not allow that. We have come of age and some of the recommendations I'm seeing here are a reflection of a joke. How can a committee spend more than 3 hours or 3 days on the same report and the recommendations you are getting, they are tattered all over, not organized? When people have been schooled, they have been taken for training, refresh again. We have talked about recommendations. Honorable members, without 3 recommendations, this paper is very useful for packaging jugu. So you are reducing us to producing waste paper to wrap mandazi. That is not why we are here. The work of the committee and the energies they put, particularly PAC, should be taken seriously. Or otherwise, if the committee clerk has challenges, should ask for support. Next order.
Order number 12, motion. The report of the Committee on Water, Irrigation and Sanitation on the implementation status of County Assembly resolutions of the Third Assembly.
Chairperson, Committee on Water. Thomas.
Honorable Speaker, sir, I beg to move the following motion, that this Assembly adopts the report of the Committee on Water, Irrigation and Sanitation on the implementation status of County Assembly resolutions of that Assembly laid on the table of the Assembly on 27th August 2024. Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to move straight to the executive summary, if allowed, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, pursuant from Makueni County Assembly, Standing Orders 204, within 60 days of the resolution of a County Assembly or adoption of a report, a select committee, the relevant County Assembly committee member, and whose portfolio the implementation of the solution falls, shall provide a report on the relevant committee of the County Assembly. Mr. Speaker, sir, within September 2022 to June 2024, the following reports were considered, adopted by the Assembly, and forwarded to the relevant departments of the County Executive for information or for action. Mr. Speaker, sir, these were the committee findings and observations. The committee made the following observations, all findings, that most of the recommendations in the resolutions meant by the County Assembly under the said reports were partially implemented by the department under whose portfolio the implementation of the resolution falls. And these were as follows. 1, the report of the Committee on Consideration of the Public Petition regarding interference with the Isorolo Water Project and the Kwa Ileli water source by a private developer in Izaoe Kilili Kalamba Ward was partially implemented because the funds which were allocated in the budget for the financial year 2023-2024 were reallocated during the consideration of the financial year 2023-2024 supplementary budget. Thus, without a budget, the department was not able to implement the resolution. 2, the report of the Committee on Consideration of Implementation of County Assembly resolutions for the Second Assembly 2017 to 2022 under the Department of Water and Sanitation was partially implemented. For example, the department through Makueni County Public Service Board recruited 4 engineers.
3 ward water officers, geologists. However, director has not been recruited. The department, despite being underfunded and allocated 5 million shillings in the financial year 2023-2024 budget towards implementation of key items in the Makueni County Water Act 2020, but the funds were reallocated to fund other projects or programs. 3. The report of the committee on the site visit conducted regarding short works done at Keuani Water Project in Emali Mulala Ward was partially implemented because no funds were allocated for the implementation of this project. 4. The report of the committee on the lack of sewerage system in Sultan Hamud in Kaskel Ward was implemented as the development plan for Emali Sultan Hamud municipality was developed by the Department of Lands and approved by the County Assembly in March 2024. And further, 3 million shillings has been allocated in the financial year 2024-2025 budget estimates for rehabilitation of DTF in Sultan Hamud town. 5. The report of the committee on the consideration of the financial year 2023-2024 departmental work plan of the Water and Sanitation Department was implemented as the department has ensured water projects have been implemented in the financial year which they were budgeted. The committee and a joint consultative meeting with the department and carried out a review of the proposed amendments on the Makueni County Water Act 2020 before submission to the County Assembly, and that the department finalized the drafting.
Honorable Chair.
Yes, sir.
Now that you're a teacher, allow me to borrow skills of my teacher.
I read the summary.
No. If you proceed with that motion, we will end up seconding the motion. We will debate, but we will vote to nothing.
Let me read the summary, sir.
No. The motion as it is, even if we vote on it, it is a motion to report on status of the implementation of recommendations.
Yes, sir.
But nothing has happened to the recommendations. So these are summary of all recommendations as they were. For example, 6 months ago, the recommendation was that the report of the Committee on Consideration of Public Petition regarding interference with the Solo Law, and the date report passed was 13th. The due date for implementation of the recommendation was 13 May. Status of implementation as of June is partially implemented, funds were inadequate. So what are we voting on? Things as they were before petitions is as they are. So what we should be voting is, what have you done to help Isololo resolve this matter? And how have you resolved this matter in budget? Including indicating that the executive committee member for water has said that it is not reasonable to add more resources. The report of the committee on lack of sewerage system in Sultan Hamud Kaskim. The due date for implementation of the recommendation of September 2023. The date passed by the Assembly. The due date was November 2023. It has been implemented, it's stick. Now where you tell us it's partially implemented, no funds allocated. Partially implemented because some of the issues require budget line. Now what have you done with the executive to solve the impartiality? Because it means that the report still reads as the statement was. Are you getting me?
Yes, sir.
So where you do not have implemented, you should be telling us where we have impartial implementation of the Assembly resolution by the Department of Water and Sanitation. Then this is another recommendation that you have made. And you have met with the executive committee member and the respective members, and the one for Isololo should have told you whether there's a budget allocation of this financial. So that then you read that it was not implemented, there's a budget allocation for 1.5 million to conclude the works. So that way we will have solved the problem. So I'm afraid the motion as it is, it will take a lot of our time, and it is a summary of recommendations and some of the recommendations were not implemented. So where will we take the recommendations from here now? Back to you again.
Sir, we had made committee recommendations on the same partially implemented projects. So may I read the recommendations of the committee?
On the partially, did
Yes,
you
sir.
engage the executive committee member on the partially implemented?
So these were the committee recommendations on the partially implemented projects.
Yes, just read two so that we put our heads together to see whether we are in the right direction. What is?
The report on the committee on consideration on the public petition regarding interference with the Isorolo water project and the Kwaireli water source by a private developer in Zawe Kirili Kalamba ward. The committee recommended that during the financial year, more funds be allocated to the projects.
Yes. You have further, I've looked at this document. What we have here is further complaints. There was a recommendation. Nothing happened. But you are reporting how the problem has not been resolved. Now, the work of the Committee on Water is to call the minister and look at how the impartial the project has been implemented. The solar system is not working. And the committee to agree with the Waziri on how that solar is going to be implemented.
Yes, sir.
So you should be telling us whether you have engaged the respective member for Kathonzweni, he has made provisions for solar, he has made provisions for rehabilitation. It is going to be factored in the next financial year when you met, because you need to meet the Waziri and discuss all these issues with the respective members and get solutions. If it is PMC that was a problem or management of the committee, then the recommendation should be that an election took place and a new committee was put in place. But to tell us no election has ever been undertaken and it was your recommendation, it looked like the recommendation was not implemented. Now, when you tell us that you are giving further 20 days or 30 days for that recommendation to be implemented, it doesn't change it from its original stage.
Sir, the committee found out that since most of the projects were partially implemented due to lack of funds, the committee recommended to the Budget and Appropriation Committee to ensure that during budget making process, adequate budget would be allocated to the water projects as per the scope of works, such that such projects can be fully implemented, sir.
Did you invite the executive committee member and discuss with him or her? And for example, if he's member from Malala Mali on that particular project X, within his budget, what he should be able to set aside or commit to set aside so that both the member, the committee, and the ECM have made a decision that is binding to that particular matter?
Not yet, sir. We
So
can
then that
be
means
allowed
that...
time to do that.
Yes.
Yes,
It
sir.
means then, therefore, the executive committee member will not make a provision for budget for that. And they will say it's the responsibility of the MCA to make that budget provision. But your recommendations is not discussing member for Emali and Kathonzweni and Kehe. It is referring to a budget and appropriation committee. But remember, budget and appropriation committee, they only consider recommendations from members and executive committee members. So they have not interest in specific projects, they have interest in policies. So your committee must sit with the executive committee member, and out of 20 projects, 10 resolved. The ones not resolved, bring all stakeholders together with the executive committee member so that in the upcoming supplementary budget, they give undertaking. So that you call the member for Emali Mulala, like Honorable Matas will be invited by Honorable Mulemba and Waziri to discuss the road, to discuss this is your project, it has a budget deficit, Waziri is here, can you tell us what you have to put in place so that we resolve this matter? If the member is not interested, then you just indicate that the respective member gave no commitment on completion and operationalization of these projects. Two, you realize that most of these projects were subject to statement raised by members. Member Fonzo Kalamba raised issues on Isololo. Is there a budget provision now as we speak for Isololo? Yes, I am aware there is a budget provision. But you see the recommendations here, it is partial. We need to see the member who raised statement on Isololo, subsequent year allocated resources, how much do you require to resolve that matter so that either the member commits him or herself, or then we clear the matter to say that it's up to him and his people. So that whatever you're going to approve, it will close the issues. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Fair enough?
So may we be given time to do that, sir?
Yes, that's why I wanted to take your report for an example. Being a teacher, I knew you would not take offense. You would really want us to continue and learn more from each other. Yes. So, honorable members, I urge the chairperson not to proceed with that statement, not because I've picked on the water committee, but I've read the recommendations of the progress reports in this. What they have done, they have summarized their within 90 days, and now they have put it in one page to say now this one also to be done within a 90 page. So they were not done in 90 pages, 20 issues. Now they have summarized in one page to say Waziri to do it in 90 pages. And they have never met the Waziri and discussed whether water, whether agriculture, whether roads to resolve the matter. And therefore we are pushing the problem and we have spent a lot of time. We would rather now zero down into resolving these issues.
Well, and thank you, sir.
Member for Mlale Malibu.
Honorable Speaker, I just picked something from that debate, and specifically about the DTF. The Mali Sultan Municipality DTF to be which
had a budget. It was a priority project, of course, and the budget of 3 million. But this is the third quarter of the year, which is coming to an end. And with the fact that it's a priority project, it has not been procured even. So with the report, without a clear guideline about the 3 million,
you are misinformed. According to this report, the report of the committee on the lack of sewerage system in Sultan, Hamud and Kaskeo ward. The report was approved on 25th of September. The due date to resolve the issues days is 25th of November 2023. And the status as at 30th of June is that it's implemented. So you have a DTF. I think you are overtaken. You have a DTF.
it is better now you've emphasized that we have the report on a later date because surprisingly, we don't have a DTF. We have the allocation and we don't have a DTF at Mali Sultan Municipality. Of course, it was to be rehabilitated, and as I've said, it was a priority project. I expect it is as such. Thank you.
Any other member? Honorable members, honorable chairs, and in particular, clerk and your team, please don't compile a summary of recommendations. When we say that once we make recommendations in report on Mali DTF within 60 days, I'm expecting the Committee on Water should have invited the ECM and member for Kasikeo to discuss how implementation on that project is going to be done and where the budget is going to be. So what you'd be seeing here is a summary of all implementations. Instead of now giving status of implementation, you give us implementation on Kasikeo, the other one is Kilome, there's another one in Bitini, there's a one which has been found not to be viable, and therefore there's no need for distilling that dam. You know, a public property which was stolen, it has been recovered, or the matter is in DCI, but you can't give us another 50 days, and then 50 days. Then when will we be doing recommendation for the last 5 years, what will we have? An encyclopedia of how recommendations have been carried forward. Next order. And if there are some that are in that nature, please, the respective chairperson and committee clerk, can they be withdrawn? Can they find a way of relooking at them so that we spare and we spend the time for the assembly wisely? I know Member Fongu is waiting to hear about the Kettle Deep. The Kettle Deep grabbed. Yes. He needs to see cows swimming. Next order.
Order number 13, motion, the report of the Committee on Health Services regarding the lack of medical supplies in health facilities in the county, particularly in
Ilima ward.
Proceed. Chairperson, Committee on Health.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I beg to move the following motion that this Assembly adopts a report on Committee on Health Services on statement regarding lack of medical supplies in health facilities across the county and particularly in Ilima ward. Mr. Speaker, sir, during the 69th sitting of the county assemblies held on Wednesday, 17th August 2024 at 2:30 p.m., Honorable Jonathan Udoka, member for
Let me
Ilima-
ask, Chair.
Yes.
One of the recommendations is that in the upcoming budget cycle, county executive to consider increasing the budget for medical drugs from 300 million to 640 as per the attached quantities from the county health facility to enable. Where did you get this figure from? Engagement with the executive committee member?
Yes, yes,
640.
yeah.
Did you meet the executive committee member on this matter?
Yeah, we met him.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
That's what we want.
Yeah.
So that whatever recommendation you are making here is arising from a discussion.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to start. During the 69th sitting of the county assemblies held on Wednesday, August 2024 at 2:30 p.m., Honorable Jonathan Mudoka, member of Ilima, requested for a statement regarding lack of medical supplies in all the facilities across the county, and particularly in Ilima ward, pursuant to the provision of Article 185.3 of the Constitution of Kenya, 2010, Section 39(2) of County Government Act.
Chairperson, you first with moving the motion.
I started, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I beg to move the following motion that this Assembly adopts the report on the Committee on Health Services on statement regarding lack of medical supplies in health facilities across the county and particularly in Lima ward. Mr. Speaker, during the 69th sitting on the County Assembly held on Wednesday, 7th August 2024 at 2:30 p.m., Honorable Jonathan Mudoka, member of Ilima, requested for a statement regarding the lack of medical supplies in health facilities across the county and particularly in Ilima ward, pursuant to the provision of Article 185.3 of the Constitution of Kenya, 210, Section 39(2) of the County Government Act 2012, revised 2020, in the standing orders, 5th of Makueni County Assembly standing orders. Mr. Speaker, the honorable member requests for clarification on the following. Whether the department was aware of shortages, inefficiencies in the health facilities. One, if yes, what was the cause of the lack of supplies? And when did the department last requisition for the supplies? Attach evidence. Two, if no, what was the cause of the lack of communication so that the residents know how to prepare when seeking treatment?
Honorable Mateso,
B, yes,
from where you are reading,
yes.
unless you go straight to findings and recommendations, you have 5 minutes to go. Unless you go to page 6.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the advice, Mr. Speaker. Allow me to go straight to the committee findings. Mr. Speaker, the committee made the following findings. One, that there was an inadequate budget of medical trunks, hence inadequate supplies in the health facilities. And two, that there has been a gap in the supply of medical trunks from the quarter to another, ends 1 quarter to another, ends causing inconveniences to patients as they lack medicine in health facilities for a period of close to 30 days. Committee recommendations. The committee recommended that, one, in the upcoming budgeting cycle, 2025-2026, the committee executive should consider increasing the budget for medical drugs for Kenya shillings 300 million to 640 million, as per the attachment quantified needs for the county health facilities to be able to operate for a full financial year without lack of medical drugs. Two, that the department should adhere to the plan provided for the month before the end of each quarter, failure to which executive committee member shall be held responsible for any delays. Acknowledgement. Mr. Speaker, sir, on behalf of the committee, we wish to extend our sincere gratitude to the office of the Speaker and that of the clerk for the support offered to the committee. And on behalf of this committee, Committee on Health Services, I hereby present the report to the County Assembly for consideration and adoption. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I therefore call Honorable Kamula to second this report.
Honourable members, I propose the question that the Assembly adopts the report of the committee, the health officers regarding lack of medical supplies in the facilities in the county, particularly Lima Ward, laid on the table of the Assembly on 19th of November 2024. The floor is open. Mover of the motion. Honourable members, I put the question that the Assembly adopt the report of the Committee on Health Services regarding the lack of medical supplies in the health facilities in the county, particularly in Lima Ward, laid on the table of the Assembly on 19th of November 2024. Will as many as of our opinion say aye? Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Honourable members, that report will be conveyed to the Department on Health Services, to the Governor and the Deputy Governor and the Minister for Finance. Honourable members, that marks the end of business today. Allow me to take this moment to exceptionally commend you and to speak my heart that looks like we didn't have a problem in quorum. So then the quorum problem may not be within. Yes, so it looks very peaceful. So Honorable Mansu, your presence brings a lot of peace. I know you have a meeting after this, which you will chair, but I want to commend members for taking time to participate in this business. I like your commitment, and when our brothers will resume, we will just ask them to learn from us kindly and copy from the team that was here. We can do other things better than them, and while they are away, a lot of business was considered. Leadership is every leadership is extreme minority whip is present. You are here. Yeah. And the speaker is here. The deputy speaker is around. The wiper leadership is ably represented by Honorable Mansu. You know, once you aspire, you attend serious meetings. And then my majority whip is present. Leader of minority is present. So the leadership is not about leadership. It's about our colleagues So when they come, they need to learn from those. Honorable members, time now being 5 p.m. The House stands adjourned until tomorrow, 25th of February 2025 at 09:30 hours.